So, I've been pretty quiet on the social media, on Instagram and on YouTube, and I've been just really having to try to use a lot of awareness and discipline actually around healing and being quiet and being honest with myself about my capacity and what I actually have the energy resources and financial resources and emotional resources to take on. And something I've noticed while I have been in a chronic pain / acute dental trauma situation is that I had almost no capacity to give beyond what it took to care for my body and like the space that I live in, as well as show up for the people who depend on me. And in my case, those people are my children, 2 children. And their presence in my life has been the inspiration for me to actually prioritize healing on a personal level. I'm not sure that I would have ended up here in this space of breaking cycles and taking accountability for my own wellness if I hadn't had children, but I did, and that is my story. I think motherhood has been and will continue to be like one of my greatest sources of learning. But all interpersonal relationships have been that way for me so far in my life, and I don't anticipate that that's going to come to an end anytime soon. A lot of times I like to talk to you about what is going on astrologically, and today is no different. So part of what I think is contributing to this vibe that we're in of like realizing we don't have enough of something, realizing we don't have enough time, and the realization comes in a variety of ways. It could show up as like an illness or recurring illness, an injury, chronic pain flare, gastrointestinal distress, inflammation in general, headaches, migraines, dermatitis flares, psoriasis. So inflammation is going to show up in different ways, and when I am connecting with inflammation through all those different things that I mentioned, I think about Mars, and I think about the role of Mars astrologically and in our lives as the planet of war. One of the archetypes is warrior, but when I think about the pain and the heat of war, I think about inflammation. And so inflammation in the body and Mars for me correlate. Right now with Mars in Gemini and retrograde, and we've talked before about how Mars is in Gemini for a really long time because of the way that the retrograde works. In this case, Mars moved through Gemini, and then just as it was about to be moving into Cancer, which, ouch, it's not that I'm looking forward to that, by the way, it backtracked. And at least from our perspective on Earth, because of the orbits, the way that it appears to us and the way that we experience it is that Mars is moving backwards. Mars is apparently retrograde. We see Mars appearing to be moving backward. It isn't actually doing that, which is kind of part of the problem. And when retrograde dilemmas occur, what I like to tell myself is this is a perception issue. And when I'm thinking about Mars, inflammation, injury, and energy, and I think about retrograde going backward, that energy not running like we are accustomed to experiencing it, not running in the way that it usually does, I am experiencing that as our perception of the energy we have available to us as humans is not correct. We are not perceiving right now, and right now we're having like these problems with it that are bringing it to our awareness really strongly so that we can't ignore it. But this is something that is chronic. So it is very possible that you, like many other people that I know, are chronically running around acting more resourced than you are. And part of that problem is not understanding all of the energy asks or the tasks that are related to the things that you say that you're gonna do. Okay? Now let's talk about the Gemini component. When Gemini is involved, there are going to be fighting words. And the words are not necessarily being spoken out loud directly to someone when we're in this retrograde space. For me, there's a lot of likelihood that how this energy shows up is either turned in on the self or otherwise distorted. Like the things that you want to say to other people, things that you really want to talk about and get cleared up, are conversations that you're having behind their back. So the things that you haven't been safe to say to them to their face or on the phone or via text or whatever, but directly to them, the things that you haven't felt safe to say are coming out in other ways. Either you are blaming yourself unnecessarily for how people are causing harm to you or boundary crossing, and you're making it your fault and thinking all kinds of shitty things in your head about yourself, blaming yourself for being imperfect. Or maybe you're out there talking shit, blaming that person for being imperfect and not actually dealing with the real issue. The issue that you're afraid to confront someone with how you actually feel or how you've been harmed. You may not have the capacity, speaking of capacity and being under-resourced, you may not have the capacity to actually have one-on-one conversations with people right now, but that's different. That's different. It's different if you think about that honestly and tell yourself, I don't have the capacity to do this right now, but I recognize this is an important conversation and I can take accountability for the fact that I can't show up here right now because I'm exhausted or I'm in pain or whatever the reasons are. But don't just make it because that person is imperfect and you've noticed the things about them that are fucked up. And that's the reason why you're not going to talk to them when that's not true. People are fucked up. That's not why you're not having this conversation. You're not having the conversation because you can't right now. And that is okay. Take care of yourself. But be honest. It is very hard to be honest during a Mars in Gemini retrograde. But the more that we are looking inward and going, whoa, it's interesting how I told myself that about this. That's bullshit. I see how perpetuating these bullshit beliefs within my mind, and when I'm talking about someone behind their back, even in the name of like talking about it because I'm upset and I need comfort. Yeah, but you're talking shit. You're not breaking the cycle. I know this because I've done this. I claim no perfection in any of this. I am doing much of this wrong. But what I'm noticing is also that I've seen some ways I've shown up and done better, and it's helping me. Feeling comfortable, we don't get that luxury. Not if we're breaking cycles. Staying in the same old cycles, you don't get to be comfortable either because it hurts. It hurts to have your boundaries crossed and say nothing. It hurts to cross other people's boundaries. No matter which way you do it, you are going to be uncomfortable. It is truly a matter of choice. But even admitting you have a choice could be scary. That's it for now. Love y'all. Bye.